There are moments in life that stop us in our tracks. Moments when the world seems to slip sideways for just a second and reveal something hidden. The sky dancing with ribbons of green and purple light, the ocean glowing electric blue in a crashing wave, a shooting star that burns across the darkness. For thousands of years, people have stood before these wonders and felt the same thing: awe. Not because we understood them, but because we didn't. Long before we knew the science, these things felt like magic. And perhaps that's part of what makes these moments so powerful. They remind us that understanding and wonder are not opposites, they are companions. The more we learn, the more extraordinary the world becomes. A hidden world that has been glowing all along, waiting for someone to notice. And perhaps that's the real magic of nature. Not that it hides its secrets from us, but that it continues to offer them again and again to those willing to slow down and look. Welcome to If These Trees Could Talk.
We would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which this story unfolds. Last night, we walked through Glenrock on a Awabakal country beneath a canopy that has sheltered life, stories and knowledge for countless generations. And today, we record from Wonnarua country where these conversations continue. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging and acknowledge the enduring connection Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have with country. This episode explores wonder, curiosity, and the hidden worlds that exist all around us. Long before science gave names to things that glow, bloom, migrate, or transform, First Nations people were observing, learning from, and living in relationship with the natural world. We acknowledge that the deepest understanding of country comes from those who have listened to it for tens of thousands of years. May we all approach this conversation with that same spirit of curiosity, respect, and wonder.
We saw them glow.
I feel like I have that level of passion about almost everything I do.
Shannon and I had the time of our life.
It doesn't take away the wonder at all, it makes it more incredible.
Wonder is not reserved for children. Last night, Megan and I followed a trail through the darkness of Glenrock State Conservation Area, our eyes slowly adjusting as an entirely different world emerged around us. The person leading us into that hidden world was Dr. Karen Livesay. Karen is a physicist, educator, and passionate science communicator. She's an honorary associate professor of physics, an award-winning speaker, and chair of the New South Wales branch of the Australian Institute of Physics. Throughout her career, she's dedicated herself to helping people see the extraordinary in everyday and making complex science accessible, engaging, and deeply human. More recently, that passion has led her beneath the forest canopy, sharing the remarkable story of Australia's glow-in-the-dark ghost mushroom through her Glenrock Ghost Fungus tours. But as we discovered last night, this isn't really a story just about mushrooms. It's a story about curiosity, about slowing down long enough to notice what most of us walk straight past, and about the magic that can be found in the natural world when we're willing to look. Today we're sitting down with Karen to talk about fungi, wonder, science, and what happens when a physicist falls in love with a hidden world beneath our feet. Karen, thank you for joining us again and for taking us on your wonderful tour last night. We did have a fabulous time. Megan, how were you feeling about heading into the forest after dark?
Yeah, I am always open to these adventures you take me on, Shannon, but it was one to remember. Very, very special.
So it's nice to be able to catch up with you again and probably ask the questions that we didn't get to ask last night because there was so much going on. So before we dive right into it, let's talk about how you got here and what makes you want to share this with others, because watching you last night, there is no mistaking your passion for this subject.
Hello, Shannon and Megan. It's fantastic to see you again in such short succession after seeing you last night. And thank you for the very positive feedback on the tour. I sometimes wonder how people perceive it, because I think I would be going for a walk in the forest whether people came with me or not. So it's really nice to hear people get a kick out of it and enjoy experiencing something different. You mentioned my passion, and I feel like I have that level of passion about almost everything I do. So I don't know if it's unique to the ghost mushrooms. I feel like everything that I do in science, I get excited about. And if I wasn't excited about it, I wouldn't be doing it. My backstory is that we moved to Newcastle in 2020, which was an interesting time to move across the world. We were living in Colorado at the time. And when we arrived here, it was a completely different landscape to what we have been used to. A whole lot more rain than anywhere we had lived before, a lot more forest than places we had lived before. And over the years since then, we've got used to seeing these amazing fungi all over the Hunter region. And slowly but surely, I think we've been drawn into trying to understand more about fungi and all the fantastic shapes that they have and mechanisms they have for spreading their spores. So that's sort of the background and how we got interested in fungi.
And we had a special little guest tour guide on our tour last night who pretty much took our breath away. His knowledge and passion is quite contagious, and Torrin is just going to tell us a little bit about how this got started.
Yes, so Torrin is my son. So when I was saying we, he was included in the we. And yes, you were lucky to have him on the tour last night. He's only attended 2, so you are very lucky.
Hi, Torrin.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry I put this pressure on you last night. I just wanted to record everything you were saying, so I invited you along today. Can you tell us how Glenrock Ghost Fungus Tours started, Torrin?
So, well, we had a tour in the Hunter Regional Botanic Gardens, and that they showed us some of the fungus. And then my mum went out looking the next year, and she found them in Glenrock. So we took all our friends' families out, and we saw them glow. And then the next year, when we were walking to find other fungus, just looking for fungus, I said, well, we showed all our friends the fungus. Why couldn't we establish a business and show the wider public the glowing fungus? And then we laughed about it, but I guess now it's a reality.
I am so grateful that you had that conversation. Shannon and I had the time of our life last night. Shannon, I heard you saying that it was a big bucket list tick.
And I'm pretty serious about my bucket list ticks. So I felt quite privileged to get the opportunity to meet the young man who facilitated me being able to have this experience, because this was not the first time I had gone out looking for ghost mushrooms. And the fact that his idea led to me being able to have that experience, I was pretty stoked about that. So I want to say a big thank you to you, Torrin, for coming up with that idea and encouraging your mum to share her amazing knowledge with the rest of us.
Can I also add to that thank you? Shannon, we were at the back of the pack because you had to take a lot of amazing photos, and Torrin was in charge of making sure no one got left behind. So we actually probably heard more of what Torrin knew than what Karen knew. So I'm very, very grateful that you have so much knowledge too, because we learn a lot from you.
Thank you.
Thanks for chatting with us, Torrin.
No worries.
I'm guessing, Karen, did you have a passion for searching for fungus in the forest before you went on that tour with Torrin? Is this something that's been going on for a long time for you, and that was the minute he was introduced to it?
Yeah, I think, again, moving to Newcastle, it's been a gradual realization of the natural wonders around us. Another similar event we had was the first time we saw sea sparkle in Lake Macquarie, which happens semi-regularly, but it's actually almost impossible to predict the conditions that will give us that bioluminescence in the lake. And so seeing that in pretty quick succession after seeing the glow-in-the-dark mushrooms got us excited about all the other wonders that we'd never heard of before we were in our 40s. You know, Torrin's very lucky. He's 10 and he knows all about this, but some of this I'm just learning much later in life.
So when people hear the word fungi, they usually just think of mushrooms, but fungi is really everywhere, from the yeast that makes our bread rise to entire networks that exist in our forest floor. How much of our daily lives are shaped by fungi without us even realising it?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question, and I didn't know any of this a couple of years ago. But one of the statistics that I mentioned on the tour last night is something like 90% of our plants rely on a symbiotic relationship with fungi in order to get the nutrients they need to grow. So, I mean, I'm sure fungi are important in their own right, but if you like plants, which pretty much all our food is based on plants, then we need to have fungi in our ecosystem in order for those plants to grow.
You asked a really interesting question last night that I did not know the answer to, but I do now, where you said, are mushrooms a plant or an animal? And the answer is neither. Can you explain a little bit about that for us?
Yes, and as you said in your intro, I'm not a biologist. I am definitely a physicist, so it's weird for me to answer this question. But the tree of life has different kingdoms, and plants are a kingdom, and animals are a kingdom, and fungi is a separate kingdom. If anything, fungi are a little more closely related to animals than plants.
Last night I was absolutely blown away learning about the mycelium networks beneath our feet. It completely changed the way that I think about a forest, and I think about a forest a lot and ecosystems. So for you to engage that thought pattern in me is pretty amazing. For people listening who haven't had the chance to go on your tour and experience it for themselves, can you explain a little bit about that network and why it's so important?
Yeah, so most fungal species are made up of mycelium, which you can think about it as the fungi analog of what roots are to plants. And it crisscrosses our ground. And for some fungi that live on dead wood, it's throughout that wood. And it's very, very fine fibers. So that's why we often miss it, is because it's underground. And even when we're digging, they're so fine that you almost don't notice them at all. Now that you know about them, you'll probably notice them when you dig up your soil in your garden. But it's so fine that a teaspoon of dirt that you dig up in your backyard can have many, many meters of mycelium in it, which is amazing, isn't it? With just a little teaspoon of soil. And that's how the fungi lives. And then the mushrooms that get all the glory, or these fruiting bodies, because they're not all mushroom shaped, the fruiting bodies can sometimes just appear for a day every year, depending on the species. So we're sort of blind to what's going on in the fungi kingdom until we see those fruiting bodies appear. And then we go, oh, yeah, that's right. They're everywhere, and there's all these amazing species. And what I tried to say on the tour last night as well is, and I've learned this by setting up the company and by walking in the forest much more regularly, your view of the forest every couple of days changes as different species fruit. And so I'm always surprised when I go into Glenrock and I have a completely different view on the trail every couple of days throughout autumn and into winter.
You explained a little bit last night about how the spores are released. I did go home and watch a whole ton of videos.
Of course you did. We got home at like 10 o'clock.
I know.
I should have sent you my favourite video, which is one about the giant puffballs. That's my favourite video of all time, so I'll send it to you after this.
Okay, please do.
We'll put it on the website.
Yes, we will put it on the website.
Yeah.
And while all of this was extraordinary and I was thoroughly engaged the whole time, the star of the show last night were definitely the ghost fungi. For anyone who hasn't had the chance to see them, can you explain what they are and why they do what they do, which is pretty special?
Yeah, so a ghost fungus is one variety of mushroom that glows in the dark. There are other species as well in Australia and abroad, but the ghost mushrooms, they're very big and they're widespread across Australia. So they're probably the most likely example of a bioluminescent mushroom that people will see. And during the daytime, it looks like quite a large, typically white oyster mushroom. But at night time, and you have to turn off all the lights, it's producing its own light.
How does that occur? Because I know that this part comes into your physics realm. And
Yes.
I asked you this question. I'm like, okay, you're a physicist. I'm thinking biology, biochemistry. I'm like, how does physics fit into this? So without giving too much away, because I think people need to go on your tour and have this experience themselves, but can you just explain a little bit about how the physics of this works?
Yeah, so I was surprised when I started looking into it and got into some pretty heavy chemistry and physics to try to understand how the light is produced. But the physics piece of the puzzle is that these mushrooms are having a chemical reaction inside their flesh, and that chemical reaction produces a very well-defined chunk of energy. And in physics, in quantum mechanics, actually, we know that a very set amount of energy corresponds to a very specific wavelength of light. And for the ghost mushroom, that chunk of energy that they're producing corresponds exactly to visible green light. And it's wonderful because that idea that energy corresponds to a wavelength of light, that was first written down in 1905 by Einstein. So it's actually not very long that we've known this equivalence between specific energies and types of light.
You have done a very good job of simplifying some very difficult understandings there. Thank you. I understood that.
Thank you. I've been doing it for a long time, so it's good. It's good that it comes across well.
Karen, I have literally just finished reading The Mushroom Murders, the story of Erin Patterson.
Oh, yes.
So my question is, can you eat the ghost fungi?
This is a two-part answer. The first answer is if you're in a national park, you can't touch anything. And I always remind people of that first. So in Glenrock, we were in a national park, so we couldn't touch anything, interfere with anything. But if you found it in your backyard, which some people do have it in their backyard, do not eat it because it will make you vomit. And that's a bit tricky because it does look like an oyster mushroom. People are always trying to guess, is it an oyster? Is it a ghost mushroom? One of the ways to tell whether it's a ghost mushroom or an edible oyster mushroom is to go back at night and see if it glows.
That's a good check. And you did have, when we were identifying the mushroom and having a good look at it, I noticed you brought a lot of props on the tour with you, including very fun animal torches, but also because we weren't going to touch these mushrooms, obviously. You brought the mirror along to slide underneath so you could see underneath the mushroom. I thought that was very cool.
Yes, I need to bring more mirrors onto the tour because some people missed out last night and they were upset. So
Me too.
there are always ways to
wanted a
improve.
mirror.
Yeah. No, the plan's to get more mirrors with like branding on them so that people, don't pocket them.
That's a great idea. Get Torrin onto the merch for you as well. I think that's a really good idea.
He seems to have the business structure sorted. So the kids last night seemed to be super engaged, which I found absolutely fascinating. Now you're out there sharing these experiences with people on a regular basis. What reactions do you see when people encounter them for the first time?
That's a great question. It depends on the tour group. Every group has a different vibe, for the loss of a better word. But it doesn't seem to matter whether there's mostly kids or mostly old people or anything in between. Like the reaction's pretty universal. Sometimes we've got to the ghost mushrooms and there's been a gasp when the lights have gone off. That's the best case scenario, isn't it? When the lights go off and everyone goes, whoa, it's amazing. But every night's different because of the personalities that come along. Also, the weather conditions change it a lot. So whether we've got a full moon or no moon, whether the ghost mushrooms are glowing a lot or a little, that's hard to predict as well. So there's a lot of different factors that make every tour unique. But overall, people's experience has been one of wonder and enjoyment. And as much as the bucket list item, like you said, is to see the glowing mushroom, I think a lot of people have also been surprised how much they've enjoyed just a walk at night. I think there might be more families going out for a nighttime walk after this, which is a huge outcome.
It's something that we really love to do when we're traveling and we're going to different places because while I'm not always looking for mushrooms during the night, it tends to be when I'm going to spot a quoll or like the types of wildlife that you don't generally see during the day. We did have a very shameless possum on our tour last night who got himself in a perfect position so we could watch him do a poo.
It was much bigger than I expected. So once again, I learnt something from the forest last night.
But even like while we were standing around and you're hearing noises in the forest, things are moving. I think we think when we go to bed, the rest of the world goes to bed too, and that's just not the case inside of a forest.
Yesterday morning, before the tour that you guys came on, I almost didn't go for a walk in the forest that morning. And I'm so glad I did because I saw species of mushroom I hadn't seen before in Glenrock that had just come out in the past couple of days. For the first time, I saw a puffball mushroom in Glenrock, which is one that literally puffs the spores out the top in a little jet. And then I found the ghost mushroom patch, this new patch that you guys came to see. So I'm so grateful that I, got out of bed and just did it because once again, I learnt a lot.
There's only a short cycle for when they glow. Is that right?
Well, there's only a short cycle for when they're even out.
Oh, right.
And then probably the first couple of days they're not glowing, the last couple of days they're not glowing. So they glow sort of in the middle of their fruiting period.
So we are pretty lucky to have been able to experience that, and it is the reason why when you advertise these tours that your life turned upside down.
Yeah, it's very last minute, isn't it? I'm only advertising tickets 8 a.m. of the day that we go out. And I think my biggest fear is to book a whole bunch of people onto a tour and then turn up and have no glow. Like I would feel really terrible if that happened. So I'm being quite conservative about that and about the weather as well. Like there was one night I didn't take a tour out because there was a flood warning so I didn't think it was safe. But in actual fact, the rain came later and the glow was amazing that night. So, we're making these decisions on the fly, which is difficult, but trying to look after people and make sure everyone has a good experience.
Are the ghost fungi native to Australia?
Yes, they are. Do you want a fact that we missed last night that you should all know?
Badly, yes.
Okay, this is Torrin's favourite. The largest organism in the world is a fungus. It covers 10 square kilometres, and they call it the humongous fungus.
Where is it?
It's in Oregon, and it's a type of honey fungus.
Wow.
What is a honey fungus?
Well, it's a big mycelium network. It's probably underground and we don't see most of it. And a honey fungus has a sort of a yellow fruiting body.
Right. That photo I sent you this morning of the bleeding fungus, which I haven't been able to identify yet, and I've put it on iNaturalist to see if somebody else can tell me what type of mushroom it is. What is that phenomenon?
I think it's called devil's tooth, but again, I'm not a mushroom expert. I'm a physicist, so take it with a grain of salt. But if you've put it on something like the New South Wales Fungi group page, someone will get back to you with a positive ID.
Okay, great, because it was amazing, and I just found that we were doing a bit of an ecological survey down our local creek, and I was like, I have never seen that before, so that was pretty cool, and then I got to be able to send it to you.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, it's amazing.
What is the adaptation purpose?
Yeah, so that's a good question. There's so many species of plants and animals and algae and mushrooms that bioluminesce that there are different mechanisms for those different species, and some we just don't know. For example, the ghost mushroom, we don't have a good theory for why it's producing that glow. Some of our deep sea creatures, they're bioluminescing because there's no sunlight that reaches down there. So it's a natural way to, attract something or to be able to see in the dark. So that's pretty clear. But some other organisms, we're not sure why they're producing this light.
What I found fascinating was that the photo you took, Shannon, versus what I could see versus what the kids could see was all very different. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so our eyes take a picture every 10th of a second, and there's nothing we can do to change that exposure time. That's set by your brain. And so that means we collect light for a very short period of time, whereas the camera on your phone can collect light for 5 to 10 seconds. So what's that? 50 to 100 times longer. So the pictures you get with your phone are going to be much, much brighter than what we see with the naked eye.
And the kids? Why could the kids see a completely different colour to us? Like they could see green and we could see white.
So the kids typically have better night vision than us. It's as simple as that. So as you start losing some of your night vision, we start losing some of the colours at the green and blue end of the spectrum. And because the ghost fungus is green, a lot of us, our brains are just interpreting that glow.
That makes sense. I did make fun of Shannon at dinner afterwards because she had to read the menu with her arm outstretched.
I would like to say, though, even though I did have to read the menu like that, I thought it was green, not white.
You thought the mushroom was green?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why didn't we talk about this?
There's some people that sort of it changes, like as their night vision gets better, like after we've had the torches off for a few minutes, then they start to see green. I don't think it's psychological.
You got really close
too.
You got down really close to take the photo.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if it was greener closer up.
Actually, it was when I was standing up and we first turned it off. It took a little while for the colour to build. But, just standing there looking at it, it was a faint green. It wasn't the green that was in my photo. But I immediately identified it as green. And then I wondered if it was confirmation bias afterwards because I've seen so many photos and I've researched about them so much. I wondered if there was a confirmation bias afterwards. But you asked the question and I really checked in with it in the moment and I was definitely on the green side.
It's like the white and gold dress.
It is. I thought that last night.
The younger generation probably don't know what we're talking about.
No.
So was the glow brighter than you expected or less bright than you expected?
It was definitely brighter than I expected. I've done a little bit of astrophotography, so I understand the difference, say, with an aurora to what it looks like with your naked eye versus what I can capture on a camera. So I did expect it to be significantly different than the photos that I seen, but I actually think it was probably brighter. There was no mistaking that what I was looking at was glowing. And sometimes when you're doing aurora photography, you might not see anything in the sky, but you can pick up the colours with your camera. In saying that too, I did a couple of different photos last night, some with 5-second exposure, some with 10-second, and that really great one was a 30-second exposure. So
nice.
That's why it took, like, it was so green and vibrant. So
Did you use the tripod for that?
yes.
Yeah, take a tripod if you go on the tour, and a mirror and a torch.
Yes. But, we have spare torches, which is good. Some families have gone out and got a torch for every single person so they can do the tour, which I don't think is wasted money because, as I said, hopefully they'll go out at night again and be looking around the forest.
Shannon brought her son over today, and both of our sons have gone out to play on our property, and I've sent them both out looking for mushrooms. If you see a mushroom, you take a photo of it and you remember where it is so we can come out and find it.
The ghost mushrooms are everywhere, and since starting the company, people now send me pictures of ghost mushrooms and the location, and they're so widespread. They're all over Newcastle and the whole Hunter region and the whole east coast of Australia. So maybe now that people have a little bit of information, as I said, they don't need me anymore. They'll be able to go out and find it for themselves.
Don't eat them, people.
Yes.
I did say to Megan last night, Karen, that I love photographing mushrooms. I don't know a lot about them. I learnt more last night than I've learnt in my 46 years of being alive. So that was fabulous. But when we, are out in the forest, I'm constantly taking photos of things that I don't understand and trying not to touch them because I don't know what's poisonous or not. When we were in Tasmania, I took so many mushroom photos that Megan said I should make a book. And I was like, why would anybody want to look at that book? And then when we left last night, I said, Karen would like to look at my book.
I don't know if you're a member, but there's whole Facebook groups where you can share your photos of mushrooms.
Yeah, I do look at those groups and I think, I'm not as good of a photographer as a lot of those people. I just get so much joy out of it.
I was recently told by a friend that you can tell my page doesn't use AI because the text and the photos are too rubbish. Which
what a compliment. Yes. Do you know, Torrin taught me last night to turn your phone upside down when you're photographing mushrooms so that you can get the lens right underneath it. What a life hack. Thanks, Torrin.
That's it. It makes a world of difference because otherwise you don't see the stems, the stalks. So, yeah, turn your phone upside down and have a mirror. Those are good tips.
Really good tips. Now, I should probably confess that I am someone who believes in magic. And last night, standing in that forest looking at something glowing beneath my feet, it felt almost impossible to be witnessing that. And strangely, learning the science behind it didn't actually make it feel less magical for me because I wasn't just looking at something beautiful, I was looking at something that I understood enough to know how extraordinary it really was. Given that you are a scientist and that your world is built on observation and evidence and understanding, but you're also out spending your time introducing people to these moments of awe and wonder, how does that work for you? Does your understanding of the mechanisms behind this phenomena change your experience, or do you still find yourself standing in the forest looking at these glowing mushrooms and thinking, I know how this works, but it's still absolutely incredible?
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I have come across people before who think that the fact that I try to understand the natural world as a physicist would ruin the joy. And it's absolutely the opposite for me. It doesn't take away the wonder at all. It makes it more incredible because when you actually understand a lot of these mechanisms, you realize how low the probability is that we have things like fungi and plants and animals that have evolved into all these different ways. So it hasn't detracted at all for me from the wonder. I think it's hard to do the experiment and have me without the scientist me. So I can't do the experiment to see how it would be as a non-scientist. But yeah, I absolutely enjoy all that wonder, and I think that's one of the things that I'm trying to do without having anyone realize through the tours is to realize that physics is actually in everything we see around us and can explain so much of what's around us. And it's not the opposite of biology. It's not a discipline that's off by itself that no one can have contact with. It's in our lives, and we need to acknowledge that it's important.
I definitely walked away with that feeling last night.
We do like to pretend that we're scientists.
We do regularly pretend that we're scientists.
The definition of science is someone trying to understand the world. So
well,
I
that's
think
what we're doing.
In some respect.
Nailed it.
I know that we're coming to the end of ghost mushroom season, but you have a bioluminescence tour on its way later in the year. Did you?
What I'm trying to develop, and hopefully national parks will agree, so I don't have their agreement yet, is what's known as a biofluorescence tour, which is different. So what you saw with the glowing mushroom is bioluminescence. So that's when there's a chemical reaction that creates light.
Mm-hmm.
Biofluorescence is when you shine ultraviolet light or UV light onto something, and it glows a different colour than what you would expect under normal daylight.
We got a little taste of that last night.
We did. It made me think of my dad looking for uranium in his marbles and in his glassware. He's got a UV torch for that, for his antiques. My phone must have been listening last night because this morning my feed had some interesting stuff in it. Did you see this glow-in-the-dark shark that's shown up in near Phillip Island?
No, I haven't.
Look at your face.
I am
Google it.
I need to stop the interview and Google it now.
Yeah, so that's my plan. There's a really popular tour in Tasmania that does this, and there's one in the UK. But there's nothing similar, I don't think, in New South Wales. And seeing how people were just so excited to be out in the forest at night time, I'd like to offer something else so that we can do it at different times of the year. We're not just limited to May.
Given how popular these tours are, where is the best place for people who might be interested for the tours that might be coming up, as well as getting on board in May next year when the season comes around again? Where should people be watching and following you so that they can get that information as soon as it comes up?
Yeah, so the company is called Glenrock Ghost Fungus Tours. And if people search that on Facebook or Instagram or find the website, all three are good places to get, weekly updates on what's going on. And then they can also sign up for the mailing list. And I send new tours to the mailing list at the same time as I put it on social media. And it has to be like that because, as you guys mentioned, it's same-day tickets, which is annoying. People often email me and say, can I go in 2 weeks' time? And I'm like, that's not how nature works. I can't book you in for 2 weeks' time. And that way people know the day or the day before that tours are running. So it's a bit annoying, but it has to be that way so I don't sell people a tour that then doesn't happen.
I think it's part of what actually makes it special. So when you want that ticket, and we wanted it so bad.
We've wanted it for a long time.
Yes, and we've watched, and then when it did come up and we couldn't get, and like I think we were like 300th on the waiting list or something. Like we were in the back end of the waiting list. And so when the emails actually made it through to our section, I got so excited, and the first couple of nights we couldn't do it. And then when it popped up yesterday and I just happened to be sitting in front of the computer, it felt like I'd been given a special key to experience something that other people may never get the chance to do. So I would highly recommend this tour to anyone who not only just enjoys nature or being out in the forest, but who just enjoys that feeling of awe and wonder of the natural world. Like it was absolutely incredible. And if you're if you're into science, then it's also going to be great for you as well. You also have a talk coming up soon for National Science Week. Can listeners come along to that?
Yes, so the National Science Week talk will be on Monday, 17th of August at the Newcastle Museum. They haven't made a bookable form yet, but it will be free to come along. Hopefully we can sell out the museum. We have for physics public lectures before, so hopefully we can sell it out. And it's going to be called Fabulous Fungi and Hidden Physics.
Oh, I think I'm going to have to go.
And I've got lots of cool pictures and lots of videos, and we're going to do trivia in the middle, and kids are welcome, and we're just going to have a party to welcome National Science Week.
That sounds brilliant. Karen, if someone was interested in learning more about your work as a physicist or having you speak at one of their events, where is the best place for them to find you for that area?
Yeah, so they're welcome to use the socials for Glenrock Ghost Fungus Tours if they want. Otherwise, the website is also a personal website detailing my other work as a physicist and with the Australian Institute of Physics, and that's at www.karenlivesay.com. Which is hard to spell, but, give it a go. and people can find out all the different things I'm doing.
We will link all of this in our show notes, as always, and we will have links on our socials and stuff so people will be able to find their way across.
Nice of you.
And I think it's worth just jumping over to have a look at some of the photographs that are there. The non-AI photographs that real people take with real cameras.
I saw it with my own eyes, Shannon. You did not have enough time to edit that. I saw it straight after you took it. That is really what it looked like.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I'm trying to be really ethical in everything I do. So I'm trying to just post real pictures, always cite the person who's taken the picture and attribute it to them. I'm just trying to be as best I can be in running a business.
You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
I'm so glad we got to go last night because it has completely changed what this conversation would be about today. And I would have had the same curiosity having this conversation, but the fact that I've been there to experience it, and it's just completely changed the dynamic, and I'm going to feel really jealous every time I see one posted now and other people are going and I'm not.
I think you're going to find it locally now. You're going to send me a message in, maybe it's next year now. You're going to send me a picture and it's going to be all up a tree and it's going to be so exciting.
I really hope that happens, and I will attribute that to you because I have looked and looked and looked, and I had pictures of knowing what I was looking for, and I'd gone out in the daytime and it just had never happened for me. So last night was a huge, massive tick for me. So thank you so much for providing this opportunity, not just for me and Megan, but for everybody in the Newcastle area.
No worries. It's brought me a lot of joy as well.
And Shannon, thanks for always dragging me on your crazy adventures.
Poor Megan, she'd never been into the forest in the nighttime before in her life
Yes,
before we started
went
doing
frogging
this.
once.
Oh, did you?
I did go frogging once.
Right. Who even are you?
I'm a scientist.
As we bring this conversation to a close, I keep returning to something we experienced last night. The ghosties weren't hidden. It was just right there off the edge of a trail in full view of anyone passing. We just think they're hidden because we aren't looking. Because most of us move through the world in daylight, at speed, focused on the next thing, the next task, the next destination. And yet all around us there are extraordinary things quietly going about the business of being alive. A forest connected beneath our feet by vast fungal networks, tiny organisms capable of producing their own light, entire worlds existing just beyond the edge of our attention. Perhaps that's what wonder really is, not discovering something new, but seeing something that was there all along. I'd like to thank Karen not only for sharing her knowledge, but her curiosity, her enthusiasm, and her invitation to look a little closer. The world is still full of wonder. That wonder is not reserved for children. It's something that keeps us asking questions, that keeps us learning, that keeps us connected to the landscapes we call home.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode. If These Trees Could Talk and What Would They Say are productions of Bellevue Studio. Our host is Shannon Walters, executive and audio production by Megan Anderson, with socials and marketing managed by Mia Oberdorf. We always appreciate hearing your thoughts, so if you would like to support the show, you can rate, review and subscribe. To stay up to date between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok. For more information on this episode or to connect with our guests, you'll find everything you need to know in the show notes at ifthesetreescouldtalk.com.au. We're grateful to have you with us and we look forward to sharing what comes next. Thanks for being here.